family's been such a major part of that, of your life. Talk to me about your dad. What did he do?
My dad worked for the city.
Did he?
Yeah. Laying bricks on streets. Yeah.
Did he emigrate over to the, James, did he immigrate over from Italy, or?
He came, my mother and father did not come together.
Okay.
My mother and father both came, well, my father came first, and he went to live with his sister. And then my mother came, and my father came, and then my mother came to live with her brother, Pete Parsolini, my uncle Pete. And my father had a fruit wagon where he would ring the bell, go to the neighborhoods and ring the bell and sell fruit, whatever, vegetables. And he noticed this girl answered the door. He hadn't seen her before. And he asked my uncle, "Who is that?" He said, "That's my sister, Josephine." He naturally was interested and made arrangements to see her. And the rest of the story, I'm one of 7 children. I have 3 brothers. My brother Phil was a barber. Maybe some of you got your haircuts from him. My brother Ross sold shoes for 50 years, Roselle shoes. My brother Joe is now in North Carolina. He worked at Crescent Tool for many years and accompanied them when they went to move their facility down to North Carolina. It was known as Cooper Industries. I had 3 sisters. My sister Grace, who passed away at the age of 91. My sister Sarah passed away at the age of 85. And today, my sister Ann is 95 years old. And she's now recuperating from a fall, and she's doing therapy work at Heritage on Prather Avenue. And I went to visit her this afternoon, as I did every afternoon. And she is really making progress, believe it or not. She is doing fine. At 95, she's very mentally alert, and we're excited about her coming home shortly. Let me bare my soul. My mother lived 26 years as a widow. My father died when I was 19. And when you're only 19 and your dad passes away, you really don't have that opportunity to have what you call the adult conversations with your dad, with your father. Because we were busy as teenagers, spending all the time we could possibly spend at the Boys Club. 2 o'clock to 5:30, 6:45 to 9 every day. We even asked the director, Mr. Clements, if we could play there on Sunday. And he gave us that opportunity, of course, with responsibility. And he gave us that opportunity. So when you stop and think of the time I spent at the club, but I did help my father work in the garden. I helped my father saw wood. But I never sat down and had what I call an adult conversation. But with my mother, for 26 years, yes, I had all the opportunity. And my mother could not speak English. My mother could not read. My mother could not write. But my mother knew what love was all about. I remember she used to hide her money in a chest. She'd gather a few dollar bills and put them away like most people did in those days. And one day she asked me to count the money she had between the pillowcases and the bed sheets. It amounted to $600. And I said, Ma, you shouldn't have this here. You got to put it in the bank. And she said, okay, you take me to the bank. My mother worked at the Hotel Jamestown in the kitchen. So I met her after work one day. She worked the early morning. And I took her to the bank. And we deposited the money in her name. And I told the teller my mother does not know how to write. She said, well, when she comes to make a deposit, all she has to do is make an X. We will witness it. You could witness that transaction. And so my mother did that. When a payday, she would stop, maybe deposit a few dollars. I didn't keep track of it. But after a couple of months, she asked me to check her bank book. And I did. And I gave her the total that she had. And I told her, Ma, believe it, they added $2 and some cents of interest. And she said, what's that? I said, well, that's the money you earned because you put the money in the bank. She wanted me to read that book every week after that. She thought they do it steady. But that was my mother. And when I was young, 12 years old, I had to go to the hospital, major operation. My mother came with me and stayed with me the night before the operation. The hospital could not budge her from wanting to be by my bed and take care of me that evening before I go into the operating room. She told the nurse, you take care of the other people, I'll take care of my son. I caught the chicken pox while I was in the hospital. I had to be moved to the contagious hospital because you couldn't be in the ward with other kids. It was a winter, November, December. And my mother came every day and stood outside the window to see me. Every day. I had an operation at 16 on my foot. I had to have it in Buffalo. My mother, believe it or not, she left work at the hotel, went to the corner of Cherry Street and 4th, where the bus station was. I don't know how she did it, but she got on the bus to Buffalo. I don't know how she even asked for a cab, but she got to the hospital. And there she stood waiting again like she did before, right at my bed, waiting for the day they operated. That's just part of the story.
Well, I suspect when you talk on the radio and you say live, love, and enjoy, when you say that, you think of your mother.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, I treasure my boyhood. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I treasure the friends I had. You have to remember in those days that the neighborhoods were ethnic neighborhoods. I lived on Franklin Street. A neighborhood in those days, you were a son of every family in the neighborhood. You know, you could be playing ball on the farthest end of the street. And if you were thirsty, I could enter the home that was closest to it. I didn't have to run home to get a glass of water. I would go into the Morano residence and get a glass of water. You were a son of the neighborhood.